The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Is Tom Willander getting traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets? What other top 6 options are there for the Vancouver Canucks, and why does Jim Rutherford keep saying spicy things? Man, oh man.
You're Locked On Canucks.
Hey.
Breaking news, Trevor. Sorry to cut you off. Breaking news here. Sorry, breaking news. You were going to announce the start of the show. Welcome to Locked On Canucks. Boom, bam. The show that gives you your Canucks every day. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab. Boom, bam. Subscribe, hit the like button. One love to the Locked On culture. Blah, blah, blah. But speaking of that culture, I signed a new deal, Trevor. Signed a new deal. Today would have been the last day on my 7-day contract. I've now signed a 1-year deal, the most expensive one-year Canucks podcasting deal of all time. Kyle Bowen and Locked On and Trevor Beggs coming to an agreement. And I'm happy to be here, Trevor. I'm happy to be here, even though I'm still getting bullied and Trevor Beggs doesn't defend me. Okay. Speaking of which, look at this comment right here. Okay. Look at this one. Trevor, you want to read that? You want to read that to the people? So, you know.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Harsh things. Great album cover there with King Crimson, but harsh thing to say. So Cheeky Breaky in the comments saying, bro, I mean, this was zero disrespect, but you should look into getting a vocal coach, especially if you're trying to be a quote unquote public figure. And come on, man. You don't think I have your back, man? I mean, look, hey, I don't care.
I would have signed for 3 years. I would have signed for 3 or 4 years if I knew we could work on this relationship. But clearly, if people want to know the truth, me and Trevor, we haven't been seeing eye to eye. You know, I've taken a lot of time off. He's taken some time off. Maybe Trevor doesn't even have any children, okay? But we sometimes we don't do shows every day together. It's because, sometimes I can't go to the office and look at this guy in the face. I can't do it. But here I am trying to do it. And just do the opposite of what Canucks players have been doing, okay? Because I'm trying to be the beacon of light here. Now, Trevor, you can start the show. I want you to say the most about Tom Willander, speaking of a guy that's pissing me off. But start the show. Enough about us. And again, I'm going to shut up because I don't like talking about ego and individual players when talking about the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, well, it makes sense that you and I aren't seeing eye to eye. It's just typical for anyone associated with the Vancouver Canucks to not be seeing eye to eye, whether it's JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, whether it is Tom Willander and Patrick Allvin. And of course, Tom Willander, him and Patrick Allvin and Todd Diamond, Willander's agent, met earlier this week. Still no deal. He's over in Sweden, not with the Abbotsford Canucks, we will touch on later. And the longer this drags on, you do got to think that Tom Willander may very well be a trade chip to help improve the Canucks' top 6 options. So that's what I want to do to kick off today's show. I'll look at who are the potential top 6 targets out there if the Canucks are going to deal Tom Willander. And we'll get into maybe a bit about Rutherford and maybe some Abbotsford Canucks talk as well. But when I look at Tom Willander potentially trading the guy, I look at the Brock Faber trade framework, right? So for fans who don't remember that, a couple of years ago, the Los Angeles Kings, who had a lot of good defense prospects at the time, might I add, decided to trade Brock Faber and a first-round pick to the Minnesota Wild for Kevin Fiala. Now, Kevin Fiala had some up and downs, but he was coming off of an 85-point season with the Minnesota Wild. But that is the type of framework you may look for in a deal like this. Now, I don't know if there's an obvious 85-point guy out there who's on the trade market. The Minnesota Wild are in a bit of a different situation with Kevin Fiala's ups and downs with their salary cap situation. He was due for a new contract. But I'm going to pull up some names here, and let's start with the Columbus Blue Jackets, because this is a team that has a lot of young talent on their team, a lot of young talent in the wings. And I think there could be a spot there for Tom Willander as well. Of course, you got Zach Werenski, you got the prospect Denton Mandachuk. But I think there's a spot there for Tom Willander to be a long-term top 4 right shot defenseman for them. And the main player I'm looking at, there's 2 I mentioned, but the main player I'm looking at is Kent Johnson, who in some ways had a bit of a breakout season here with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Mainly played the wing for them, so not really playing at center, but nearly a point per game guy for a not too bad age of 22 there. 24 goals, 57 points in 68 games. Kent Johnson, an electric hockey player. And I don't know if it would exactly be Tom Willander in a first-round pick, because Canton Johnson isn't as established as Kevin Fiala, but potentially Tom Willander and maybe a second-round pick, something like that, perhaps could get it done for the Vancouver Canucks. But Kyle, what do you think of that deal? Would that call it Tom Willander in a second, maybe even Tom Willander in a first? Is that something you're comfortable with if you're the Vancouver Canucks? And is Ken Johnson, Port Moody's own, shout out to Port Moody, is that a player you'd be interested in if you're the Vancouver Canucks?
I mean, I'm a fan of Kent. I think he's super talented, highly skilled. Let's put up like 2 decent years, right, in his NHL career so far. Is it 2? Is it 1? It's a lot. It's a lot to give up for a guy, again, that's only had a couple good seasons. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at what this team needs, and I know Kent is young, and in theory, he could be, a part of even if a rebuild, if they want to do that next year, right? He'll be 23 at the time of next year, and like he could still be a part of this core long term. But I feel as if you're going down the path of trading Tom Willander with Quinn Hughes on the team, and again, Rutherford just spoke about Quinn Hughes, pretty much telling everyone that this guy's not going anywhere till 2027, okay? Till 2027, till the deadline, if need be, okay? So he's going to be around for a while. And a Willander for any one type of trade, or a Willander in a first, Willander in a second, Willander in a prospect, that type of trade for me has to involve somebody that's been more quote-unquote consistent, somebody that could help the team out today, somebody that could play down the middle, right? So if I'm the Canucks, and again, I'm planning on keeping Quinn Hughes for a couple years and using that sample size to court him, I don't know if I'm prioritizing like getting a player that's under the age of 23 and playing that young card. And you know what I'm saying? I want somebody that's been more consistent for a longer period of time.
All right, so let's go to a couple other names on the list if that's the case. And in terms of guys that may be more established, there are a couple guys I'm looking at on the Carolina Hurricanes who, as we know, they've been big game hunting. They almost traded for Elias Pettersson at one point, decided to get Mikko Rantanen instead. That didn't work out. And really, depending on what they do in this year's playoffs, I think they'll be big game hunting again this offseason. Like, if they do bow out to the Washington Capitals in round 2, you could be looking at a similar situation where they're saying, how do we get some more talent on this team? So, again, I don't know if they'd be interested in a Willander in a first package. Like, they might look to take that and flip it. But a couple guys there, if they're going to clear space maybe to get a bigger player, would be someone like an Andrei Svechnikov or Seth Jarvis. Now, again, neither of those guys are full-time centers, although Jarvis has played center in the past. I think for either of those guys, you are looking more like a Willander in a first type of package. Is that a price too steep to pay for either of those guys? I might have added Andrei Svechnikov did have a pretty down season. I don't even know if he hit 50 points in the regular season, and Seth Jarvis, different story, makes it to Team Canada, 70-plus points, 30-plus goals. He is much more in that Kevin Fiala mold and right around the same age that Kevin Fiala was when he got traded to the LA Kings.
Damn, but didn't they just lock up Seth Jarvis? I feel like he's such a fan favorite. He's such a cultural leader. He's like the face of the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, that's what it feels like. I don't think he's going anywhere, but I could see, why you put 2 and 2 together. Because again, the whole Fiala thing, but Seth Jarvis isn't going anywhere. But the whole Svechnikov thing, is that how you say his name? And I've seen him play. He's a big player. I feel as if looking back at it, you would hope that he would be a better player at this point in his career, especially, being on a good team and having good players around him. That being said, I'd be interested. I'd be intrigued, right? Like, is there a 3-way trade where Carolina, gets assets from the Canucks and flips them for somebody else? Who knows? But that's a player that I would just target in general, with or without Willander being a part of that package. Because maybe they are looking to move him. Now, I think he's getting paid like less than $8 million. The cap is going up to $200 million. I'm joking, but it's going to go up by a lot. And that contract may be even okay at $7.7 million a year if he's putting up 50 points. But just even saying that out loud, I just feel like he has not lived up to the hype. He's not lived up to the hype at all. And I mean, he still has round 2 to go here, but he could be a player that Carolina wants to move.
Yeah, and I even thought about him as a potential piece if they did try to target Elias Pettersson again this offseason, right? That would be a fascinating trade, but you do have 2 players who are underwhelming, right? I mean, Andrei Svechnikov, he has battled injuries. That's been part of his story as well. But Carolina's been interested in Pettersson in the past. Andrei Svechnikov struggling. Again, the Canucks do need to get a center, but in general, they need top 6 talent. And Svechnikov, again, could be an interesting guy to look at, again, from the 2018 draft, drafted ahead of Quinn Hughes.
Sorry to cut you off. Stankoven is listed as a center, but I've only seen him play wing a lot. Am I tripping, or am I high right now? Like, well, how about a guy like Logan Stankoven from Carolina? I mean, he was a big part of the Rantanen trade. I think he's just a good player. He gives me like better Brendan Gallagher type vibes. Like, I don't know. Is there anything there? Good.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see him as part of a trade package, considering he was just a centerpiece of another massive trade. But clearly, again, like I said, the Carolina Hurricanes, they weren't trying to get Logan Stankoven. Like, that was part of the random situation not working out and them going, oh shit, what do we do now? So I don't think Logan Stankoven is an untradeable piece for them. And again, he's pretty similar to Seth Jarvis than Seth Jarvis. So look, neither guy has played a lot of center for them. Even just looking at the playoffs so far, like the Carolina Hurricanes, if you look at their 5 centers, it's been Jordan Staal, Sebastian Aho, Kotkaniemi, Jack Roslovic, and Mark Jankowski. So Stankoven and Seth Jarvis have been wingers for them. So yeah, they're listed as centers. They have played some center.
Oh, we got Trevor disconnecting a lot here. Trevor's internet connection just slipping. But the more and more we talk about this, again, throughout the episode, Willander for who. We'll talk more about my new contract, my relationship with Trevor Beggs, Jim Rutherford continuing to open up his mouth about the situation. I think we may be onto something. You know, it wasn't the theme of today's start of the show in regards to like packaging Tom Willander with Elias Pettersson in like a big grand deal. But I wonder, you know, if Carolina gets knocked out of the playoffs here in the second round, right? Like, is there a Willander and Pettersson for, I don't know, like Stankoven, Svechnikov? Carolina's got a lot of, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be crazy.
I think part of the issue now, and maybe I'll end on this. It's not the latest note. We'll end on this. Get to break. Maybe talk a little bit more Rutherford and some funnier stuff in the NHL right now. But you know, for all the reporting we heard, you know, Pettersson got pretty darn close to being traded to Carolina for an HS and a first. And then when they realized Rantanen's available, of course you're going to go to Rantanen instead of Pettersson. And Pettersson's value's gone down. I think teams are going to have hesitancy acquiring this guy. And I know Carolina, we talk with them because they've had love with Pettersson in the past, but you know, they've been watching and scouting Pettersson much like we have. And I think there's going to be some hesitancy there for them to give him an absolute haul for Elias Pettersson. I think Svechnikov would be an interesting part of that trade just because he has struggled. But in terms of Pettersson and Willander for Stankoven and Svechnikov, like, I don't know if the Canucks are getting much more than that. And that's an incredibly risky trade for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, of course, because Pettersson could still blow up, but at least you could still possibly say the same for Svechnikov. I know I haven't seen every game, but again, he just there's something there. There's something there. Like you want to hope that it's more than a 50-point guy. Like he's got the physical traits, and I mean you could hit it big with him too. It's again fascinating times for your Vancouver Canucks and Rutherford, man. You know, part of me wants him to just talk about the future, not talking about the past so much. He just leaked info about like the season pretty much ending after the first week. You know, after Calgary, Tampa, Florida, all it took was a couple of games for this team to just blow up internally. And yeah, the future, man. A lot of noise, Trevor. A lot of noise.
Lots of noise, man. And let's maybe dive deeper into that into the side, Jim Rutherford's most recent comments about your Vancouver Canucks. Maybe we'll touch on some of Rutherford's homies as well. And could one of Rutherford's homeboys be the next coach or assistant coach of your Vancouver Canucks? You listen to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Let's see if the Wi-Fi holds up, baby, as we shout out our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Man, I felt like an old man when I noticed this, but on your Amazon Fire TV, apparently, allegedly, that Fire TV stick can also be an Xbox. Man, oh man, who would have thought, man, in 2025, with your Fire TV stick 4K devices, there's no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to rock and roll. So escape the doom and gloom from being a Canucks fan and dive into some NHL 25, maybe some EA Sports College Football 25 or Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's as easy to game on your Fire TV stick as it is to stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. So make sure you head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription required, and a compatible controller required as well. Available on select devices only, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube the 3rd Gen. Let's go, baby.
We back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. As I told you off the jump, just signed a 1-year deal with the Locked On Canucks podcast network and the show, and have agreed to give this another chance, Trevor. Beggsy and Bowen, give it another chance, right? Rocky relationship. You started having a family, and before you knew it, I wasn't your brother anymore. I was just your friend. Okay, so we got a year to fix this. Okay. Speaking of which, though, you know how we talked about, well, I don't even know if joked is the right word. There's just a lot of energy here. This ain't a media show. This ain't a news show. This is just two fans talking, right? I kept saying it, it feels like Rick Tocchet quit on the Canucks. I mean, family related. He wants to go to the East, and I believe all that stuff. But I thought the best teams in life are family. In the books I read about champions, I thought Tocchet knew that. Okay. Anyways, the more and more I hear about JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and Miller and Pettersson, and even Rutherford having Miller's back even more on that podcast he just had with John Shannon and Darren Millard. And then the more and more I keep listening to the fact that Miller is the one that asked for the trade and was like, yeah, I got to get out of here. It's uncomfortable or whatever. The more I start to ask myself, like, like a year ago, we're in the dance. We're about to play the Oilers. And all it took was like another 5 months for you to like, not work this out and just like get away from the situation. Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm starting to think that Miller kind of quit on the team too. Like, quit on this story, like quit on this core. Like, what I thought we were starting something here.
Yeah, and again, it'd be interesting to know what happened behind the scenes, right? Because you can make the argument that maybe Pettersson quit on this team too, right? Not training properly, not coming into canvas shape properly. And
true.
Again, I've said it time and time again, every day is no. I do feel like these Vancouver Canucks, the most cursed franchise in the NHL history. Maybe someone's got to break the curse one day, though, whether it's John Cooper coming to Tampa Bay or coming to Vancouver, I should say. Go check out that episode from yesterday. But yeah, Jim Rutherford, Kyle, you alluded to it, mentioning some more news on a podcast with Darren Millard and John Shannon, basically saying that this drama between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson came to a head 1 week into the NHL season. That was before the incident where JT Miller hacked at Pettersson at practice. And then, Elliot Friedman comes in a couple days later and talks about how the Canucks want Pettersson to be tougher. So all this starts pouring out after Rutherford mentions this 1 week time period where, again, after a couple overtime losses, the Canucks season already went to hell at that point. So, it is just a crazy timeline. But yeah, to your point, it does feel like Tocchet and Miller quit on this team to an extent. Not to say they didn't try to make it work, but clearly, Miller hit a point where he wanted out. Tocchet hit a point where he wanted out. He's not believing in this team anymore. It's just you and me left, Kyle, and the great fans here of the Canucks and Locked On Canucks.
And yeah, that's why I'll be here forever. And that's why I signed a 1-year deal with the Locked On Canucks. Okay. Rutherford also, again, I want to preface, like, Rutherford's not blaming Miller at all. Like, it's a 50-50 team thing, right? Like, the online, there's been all that rhetoric about, Miller's attitude. He must have said something wrong. I started to believe it too. But I feel as if Miller really, really did something quote unquote wrong, Rutherford would not publicly have his back like this so many times. This just seemed like a personality thing. It also seems like they had meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. Rutherford said, we couldn't have had more meetings. We started to have meetings about planning our next meeting. When it came to resolving this issue, he just said that, right? Like, this was a big time issue. And at the end of the day, it just couldn't get resolved. And now that's why I want Canucks fans to have hope and faith, because I want a leadership group kind of led by my head coach. I'm not going to lie, to be able to resolve issues. And Rick Tocchet could not resolve this issue. Like, he was around so many superstars his whole career. He's seen everyone and everything. Yet he had a lot of time to fix Pettersson and Miller as the older guy, as a champion. Yet his language, his delivery, his articulation, his efficiency, it couldn't uphold in a meeting. And I don't know. I just feel as if it's another example of why it's okay that we lost him. He's not the best coach ever. Let's move on, Canucks fans, and let's find somebody else.
100%. And, again, Tocchet had his warts here clearly too, right? I mean, I've been a big fan of Tocchet. I've said that time and time again on the show. Every Dayers, they know that. But it's time to move on, right? We can't bitch and moan about Rick Tocchet. It's about finding the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. And Kyle, what are the odds that Rutherford hires one of his homies to either be the head coach of the Canucks or an assistant coach of the Canucks? I know he's, mentioned guys like Peter Laviolette and the respect he has for him. Mike Yeo, a guy who was here with Travis Green and Bruce Boudreau, and then now joining Travis Green in Ottawa. Jeremy Colleton, he left here for New Jersey, but a coach that was highly respected in this organization. And then, Mike Vellucci, the Pittsburgh Penguins head coach, assistant coach there for a long, long time as well. Rutherford's known him for 10 plus years. And then maybe an out there name too is former Canucks defenseman Kevin McCarthy, who was an assistant with the Carolina Hurricanes through their Cup win in 2006 and with that team for 10 plus years. Again, Vancouver Canucks tie, Jim Rutherford tie. That's the name that I haven't had mentioned yet, so I want to throw that one out there as well. So 5 guys with Rutherford ties: Peter Laviolette, Mike Yeo, Mike Vellucci, Jeremy Colleton, Kevin McCarthy. Do you think Rutherford hires one of his homies, or is he going to go outside of the organization, outside of his network, to find the next coach? Or is it Manny Malhotra, baby?
I mean, Rutherford talked about how they got to be patient, but quick at the same time, because there's a lot of work to do. But based on who you just spewed out, and again, based on what's happening in my gut, I just feel as if the Vancouver Canucks, because again, John Cooper's not going anywhere. Like, he basically said it today. Like, you find me one better organization in the league and show me. Like, I think that he's such a core leader to the Tampa Bay Lightning that since he has 1 year left on his deal, like, he's buying in. They're trying to win a cup next year, okay? So he's not going anywhere. That being said, to answer your question, I think they got to pick a young guy. Like, it'd be interesting if they brought Jeremy Colleton back because they liked him, and then he left, and maybe there's a full circle moment and then give him a shot. And if they do bring in a quote unquote young guy to do this head coaching job and it doesn't work out, I mean, at least they can let him go and possibly be in the John Cooper sweepstakes. I mean, John Cooper, to me, like, I know the Canucks aren't like the sexy, appealing team, but since he does have BC ties being born here, I feel as if there could be a new challenge here. Like, even if it's a 5-year plan for the Canucks and he has to wait till 3 or 4 for this team to be good, maybe a guy with that much imagination and that much intrigue and team philosophy and team leadership, maybe he'd be up for that challenge. So all in all, to answer your questions, get the young guy so you can be in the John Cooper sweepstakes next year.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to phrase it. Now, I think before we cut to break here, your team, John Cooper, of course, we'd all love to see John Cooper here, but I'm gonna champion Jeremy Colleton just like you for a second here too. And I think he was put in a very terrible situation with the Chicago Blackhawks. Team going nowhere fast. In fact, they were going downhill fast. He had to, go in there and replace Joel Quenneville kind of out of the blue. Just a very tough situation. I think he did a good job with Abbotsford. He ran one of the best power plays in the league this year in New Jersey. But the main reason why you want Jeremy Colleton here is because you want to see Jeremy Colleton choose New Jersey over Vancouver so that he can go to the Hughes brothers and say, look, I chose New Jersey over Vancouver, or I chose Vancouver over New Jersey. You guys should do the same. Let's go, baby.
Damn. Colleton choosing Vancouver over New Jersey, comes back to Vancouver, and then he starts being toxic about, New Jersey. Start lying about, if I'm Colleton, I get the job here in Vancouver, that's what I'm doing. I'm lying about what's going on in that dressing room. Because if there's one player in the league that's scarred in regards to being in a toxic work environment, a toxic dressing room, it's Quinn Hughes. So, yeah. Hire Colleton and have him lie about what's happening in New Jersey. I like that plan.
There we go, man. That's the path for success for your Vancouver Canucks. Let's cut to break here. And on the other side, we'll get to a few comments. Shout out the Abbotsford Canucks. Shout out who knows what else here on Locked On Canucks. Before we wrap up the show, let's shout out our friends over at Gametime. And a lot to the people, man. I did not get out to see the Ottawa Senators before their season sadly ended against the Toronto Maple Leafs. But hey, NHL playoff hockey still going on, NBA still going on, and the weather's getting nicer, which means more outdoor concerts. You can find all of that stuff on Gametime. And the reason you got to go to Gametime for that is because they got that lowest price guarantee, baby. So you know you're not going to find tickets cheaper elsewhere on any other app. Not only that, if you're like me and you're procrastinating, you're sitting around scratching your sack and you're like, oh shit, I want to go see this. You could do so on Gametime. And not only that, prices on Gametime actually go down the closer it gets to an event, sometimes to as much as 60%. So when you think tickets, think of Gametime. Take the guess we're going to buying tickets with Gametime. Go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Okay, we back doing this. Giving you Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bow and Trevor Beggs. Do us all a favor right now. Hit the like button and see what happens. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a 5-star review. Trevor's got children, and I need therapy. Therapy is a lot of money, okay? I'm not trying to make light of the situation. Just, dude, 125 bucks an hour, 175 bucks an hour. Anyways, next comment. Mother Nucker saying we legit talked about how the leadership group was coming in prepared this season and motivated after what happened last season and the lessons they learned in the playoffs. And what happened? Pedersen showed up out of shape, and if I was Miller, I'd be pissed off too, aka start a brouhaha. Yeah, we got to get over it, Mother Nucker, man. Mother Nucker, you just okay. You haven't been here in a long time. You just said it right here. Okay, have not been on here in a minute due to depression with this janky ass organization. But good to see your beautiful faces. Spend time with your loved ones. Go for a walk, and let's just be hopeful. Let's just move on, okay? Because I got 1 year left on the contract. Okay, so let's just be hopeful. Okay, Trevor, please.
That's all right, man. I mean, it's hard to be hopeful as a Canuck fan, but that's what sports is all about, man. You never know what tomorrow is going to bring, and because man, oh man, I thought like the LA Kings were gonna finally pull this off against the Edmonton Oilers, and that didn't happen. All right, so but you never know what's going to happen in sports, man. So you just gotta keep the faith, keep the hope. And because Kyle, I didn't have hope for you watching NHL games that didn't involve the Vancouver Canucks.
Yep.
But now I see you blowing up the group chat, just talking about every single game in the group chat, man. You're just going off about Vegas and Minnesota and all these games. Talking about, wow, NHL playoff hockey is so great. It's like you're a kid discovering candy, man. So tell us about your experience for this is probably the first time in your life, I want to say, where you've watched a lot of NHL games that have not involved your Vancouver Canucks. How's it been, buddy?
No, it's been great, man. I mean, I'm going to say it right now. The second best sporting product I've seen over the last 5 years is, pretty much every single NFL game. Cause I just love the NFL. I think the NFL has so much value, per minute when it comes to an entertainment standpoint that I just love that sport. Love that league. That is my escape. I love the NFL. That being said, I was born on hockey, and just watching all this playoff hockey that doesn't relate to the Canucks, and you would just watch it from a neutral point of view. You can't really get disappointed, even though the Oilers are winning. And I'm like, fuck the Oilers. That being said, I'm just watching the game and the athleticism and the spectacle and just the energy. I mean, and the crazy thing about, again, my love for the NHL playoffs right now is I wish it was a little bit more physical, to be honest. But I'm talking about the athleticism, man. There's so much offense, so many nice plays being made, so much back and forth. I feel as if there's been so many moments during this time period of watching hockey over the last 3 weeks where there's 7 or 8 minutes without a whistle. I feel like I can count almost 2 hands how many times I've watched games where that is actually happening. And I feel as if that was more rare back in the day. It just seems that there's a lot of flow and things are happening and people are just so skilled and connected and boom, bam. How about that game between Dallas and Colorado yesterday? Unreal. Even that game between Ottawa and Toronto, not a lot of shots on goal. The box score lies to you. That game was just too much fun. And again, I feel as if that game in itself, correct me if I'm wrong, and that whole series just lacked a lot of physicality. But there I was, still enjoying it. I don't need the blood. I thought if it bleeds, it leads, but that's incorrect. The NHL right now is just a hot product, and it's fun to watch, and it's helping with the amount of jealousy I have surrounding other fan bases getting to be involved in it. But just as a fan of the game, Trevor, this is the best hockey's ever looked.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's you do crave that physicality, if it
Mhm.
bleeds leads. I think it is true a lot of the time, but you're right. Aside from the Winnipeg Jets St. Louis Blues series, it hasn't been an overly physical first round compared to what we've seen in the past. If you want to watch some physicality, maybe go check out the Abbotsford Canucks and the Coachella Valley Firebirds. I mean, that was a pretty physical affair in Game 1. The Abbotsford Canucks coming out on top, 3-1 in that game. Archer Shilov's having a pretty strong game, despite getting bowled over in the second period. Took him a little while to get up, but man, oh man, I still keep thinking about Manny Malhotra, and if he really takes this team to the Calder Cup Finals. I mean, early days are just one game in a round too, but the Abbotsford Canucks I think in a good spot with one more game in Coachella, and then the next 3 potentially in Abbotsford if the series goes the distance. How does that affect the Canucks coaching search? Is kind of the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, if they want to hire Manny, they're probably going to wait until the end of the Calder Cup playoffs, right? They're not going to hire him middle of the playoffs. So how does that impact things? But also just like the guys down there too right now, I think there's, again, a handful of guys that could be NHLers for the Canucks next season as well. So I have my eye on the Abbotsford Canucks. And again, if you want that physicality, man, if you want that blood, go watch that series, man. Because, man, oh, man, Game 1 had a lot of brouhahas.
Dude, you know what's crazy, Trevor? I'm so happy I'm a 3-time college dropout, okay? For real. 3 times. I went to Quallen, I went to BCIT, and I went to Douglas, and I just kept dropping out. And look who just signed the biggest Canucks podcasting 1-year deal with Locked On and allegedly, okay? Allegedly. Anyways, I remember going to broadcasting school and like within the first week there, they're like, if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads. Which is not true. I mean, me and Trevor have been doing this show for 3 years. Like the only time it's successful every day. But when it's like quote unquote the most successful, like what the up's like, it's when the Canucks are winning. Okay, so if it bleeds, it leads. That's bullshit. That's propaganda. And also, again, in the first week there, dude, I learned how to write articles about games I didn't even watch. Like, you know how the East doesn't watch Quinn Hughes, but they can just get away with like looking at micro data and fancy stats and all that bullshit and just like create the synopsis. If that's how you say it about Quinn Hughes, I learned how to do that. It's like, don't watch it. Don't worry. Don't watch it. Just look at the box score and write the article. Damn, bro. Trevor, this is what I'm trying to teach you right now. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to be right, don't go left.
Man, that's why you're a poet, man. That's why you're writing poems during your 3-week break on Locked On Canucks.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of fascinating times ahead for this team. I mean, yeah, I think we want to be talking about positivity. I do think about if it bleeds, it leads. And you talked in the podcast. I had the episode title "How to Murder the Vancouver Canucks" with the bloody thumbnail of JT.
But they did. Rutherford keeps confirming it. Okay, last note though, because I just want to pick your brain. One left to all you guys, hit the like button and let us know in the comments, okay? If you stuck around until the end of the episode, just flood the comments with your final thoughts, because I don't want to talk about the drama between these two anymore. Right? Is that fair to say? Like, there's nothing new happening other than the fact that, like, okay, the season blew up one weekend. These two, like, whatever, brouhaha, whatever happened. And also Rutherford doubling down on his support for JT Miller. Tired of all the, like, him getting all the blame for what happened, blah, blah, blah. But do you think it's just, again, as a team moving forward, Trevor, they got to stop just like putting their arm around Miller and just like loving Patterson a bit here. No, honestly speaking,
yeah,
it's time. Like, it's got to start now. It's got to start now. Like, screw JT Miller. Don't want to hear his name again. Same thing with Rick Tocchet too. We just got to move forward. It's tough. I know it's hard. And I think it just starts. It's not about supporting Elias Pettersson vocally every single time. It's just like less pessimism, even if it's realistic. Just slow it down.
Well, we keep throwing out corny things that rhyme, and there's that honesty is the best policy. But I think sometimes in terms of PR, honesty isn't always the best policy. I think Jim Rutherford's been a little bit too open and honest about his affection for JT Miller. I think it's time for the next time we do the press conference to be like, JT who? Because I think Pettersson is really a positive reinforcement guy, and save the ripping of Pettersson for us here on Locked On Canucks or the listeners of Locked On Canucks, because I think Pettersson does need some positive reinforcement. He doesn't necessarily deserve it based on the last year, but I don't think shitting on the guy is really going to do anyone any good, especially when it comes from Alvin and Rutherford.
Yeah, just enough is enough. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming Pettersson. Like Pettersson, like you gotta maneuver way better too. Like I hate to do this, but you probably getting paid like 3 times, 4 times as much as those guys make it. Like you got to be the boss and be the true leader of the situation and dictate how this team's perceived and felt about. But again, just for the fan base's point of view, I think we could all need a break from just like the fuel, right? Because now we got to wait and see again. We got a couple more months. We got to wait and see. We got to wait and see, and we got to wait and see. And Rutherford even saying today, like, look at this quote from Rutherford, okay? Like, any type of negativity, I'm just like, dude, just stop giving us noise, okay? Supposedly he said, I didn't get to this part of the interview, but it's coming from one of the writers at the Hockey News who quoted this to quote, when July 1 comes, we're not very often at the top of players' lists. Like, why you got to say that? Why? I'm just give us the cliche, say less, please. I love the truth, and I like how entertaining he is, but enough is enough. Just as a Canucks fan, the league loves it. Boom, bam, I get it. But me, I just want you standing more secure. You get what I'm trying to say, Trevor? Like like there's some confidence here.
Well, as Callum McKenzie, a.k.a. Callum Sandu, says in the comments, one thing is for sure, Knuckleheads,
Trevor.
we're
this
all in for a bumpy ride. Hold on, baby. It's time for a bumpy ride.
You're so dark, man. That's why I love you and I hate you, and this is why we've had problems. But don't worry, I'll fix you by the end of it, man. I'll fix you I got 12 months to have you read 6 Deepak Chopra books so you can understand the path of. I'm not trying to convert you to offend you. That's not what I'm doing here. This is not a cult, okay? I'm just trying to make you a better father. I always say you're the second best dad in the world. Let's move you up to number 1, okay? Think bigger, Trevor.
Hey, man, I'm still loving life. I'm still believing the Vancouver Canucks will one day win the Stanley Cup. Just one before we die. But we got you covered with the bumpy ride here on Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Baum. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, subscribe and like on YouTube, on the podcast site. Go follow us. Leave a 5-star review. And let's dance into the weekend, baby. Let's go.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.